I'm Naem Mirza. I'm 19 years old. I've been living in East Oxford all my life. My grandparents came to England in the early 60s and originally were living in Sheffield when they first got here. And then there were a lot better prospects for them here in Oxford, like due to the car plants and like the openings of these new factories, which they needed a lot of new workers. And we've been living here ever since. We're now at Unipark Group of Companies. This is where I work, and this is the more industrial side to Oxford. And this sort of it's like straight up the Cowley Road, which is where you get a lot of people who live in Cowley who work in these areas. And as you can see, there's a lot of factories around here, a lot of warehouses. Yeah, it's as far out as you can go. I'm just about to drive around my area, East Oxford, and just show you a little bit and just talk a little bit about my area. Can't really describe how it feels, I'm so used to it now. It's like I don't know what it really feels like to live anywhere else. But I think it's quite a good area, really. You got like a lot of different sort of people around here. Like the area we're going through now is near Greater Leys and Blackbird Leys, which is the more of the sort of newly built sort of estates, and it kind of feels like it's always growing, and there's always like new types of people coming to live here. This is the bypass, and it's like this is where a lot of the car factories used to be, and now instead they're all sort of being shut down slowly, one by one. They're all being shut down, they're being replaced. For example, here we've got the business park on the left, and we've got the retail park behind, where there's Tesco's and like a few clothes shops. So a lot more of what people want, what people are going to be sort of using every day. That's the sort of drivers you get around here. That's all Cowley Centre on the left, which is like it's a bit like the city centre, but it's a lot smaller version of it, and it's not as popular as the city centre. This area is like the Temple Cowley area, and this is Cowley Road we're just getting on now. So a lot of my life does actually revolve around Cowley Road. I know a lot of people would sort of, because before it hasn't had the greatest of reputations, like crime rate wise, but I think they're doing a lot to improve the area, and it's getting a lot more of a better name now. And this is one of the biggest attractions of Oxford, and it's where you get this is where everybody sort of comes together, all different races, all different cultures. This is where everyone lives, everyone gets together, everyone comes out. It's got brilliant nightlife around here. A lot of restaurants, very lit up area. I know that a lot of people come from out of Oxford just to come and see Cowley Road, and just come and eat in Cowley Road somewhere in a restaurant, or a lot of stuff happens here. And we're now at Manza Way Estate. This is where like a lot of Muslim people live. Have grown up. And they've recently built this mosque, which is probably the biggest mosque in the whole of East Oxford. We've got like 4 overall, including one on St Clement's, and we've got one further down the Cowley Road, Bangladeshi mosque, and we've got one which is more towards where I live, a bit further down. It's done a very good job of it, actually. I haven't seen it in a long time. Cowley Road, yeah, it's a very, very busy road. There was a lot of problems because of the traffic. In the last year or so, there's been like a few road accidents which has led to the death of someone, and so it got quite dangerous. So I think they've just about had enough, and just trying to get it a lot more safe to drive in, really. And I think they're just putting on bollards just to sort of so it's not just a straight stretch where you can just put your foot down sort of thing. You have to concentrate a lot more. We're now on the complete opposite side of East Oxford. We're on Morglin Bridge, which is like the division line between the university part of the town and East Oxford, which is the area which I actually grew up in, and that's East Oxford just down there, and like sort of, you know, so this bridge is sort of like the dividing line, you know, as you can see. I think one of the other reasons, apart from the fact that there was a lot of work here, but why my grandparents actually decided to move to Oxford in the first place was because it's a university city and it's world famous for its universities. The way they looked at it was, if they were to raise their children in this city, they thought that, you know, there's a lot more prospects here for their children. But in my experience, you know, the people who I see growing up here, just like me, they're not the sort of people who actually end up studying in these universities, because you know, the only way that they actually do end up here is either as a chef or a cleaner, and it's not like, you know, it's a lot more difficult for people in this area to actually end up studying here. It's more for people who've actually studied at private schools and places like that. We're now on Marston Road, which is just on the other side of Cowley Road, and as you can see, they're building a new Islamic centre, which is part of the universities in Oxford. But just like all the other universities, we don't really, as residents in Oxford, we don't really know too much about what's actually going on with them or what stage they're at. I think it's sort of like, you know, from now and again you do hear like the odd important person coming down. For example, Prince Charles came to visit this place himself, and I would have thought that if it's such a big deal that, you know, we would have like known a bit more about it. But I think the building is like, it's quite a unique design, and I think that, you know, it does sort of, it's got a lot of sort of Islamic design in it as well, and I think it's going to look quite nice when it's built. All right. We're now back at my house, and that was Oxford in 2005. And with regards to Oxford 2015, I think there are still a lot of changes to come. And I think, you know, a lot of changes, for example, are starting now. For example, the road calming, and you know, the fact that they've redone Mansaway Park and made it a lot more of a safer place, because, you know, they've introduced these new sort of street lights that you can just see into it all night long, sort of thing. And, you know, I think little changes like that will be helping out our area quite a lot. But at the same time, I don't want it to change that much that people are actually drawn away and that we lose some of the good things that we do have in East Oxford. For example, the mix of different people from different origins and backgrounds, which makes it a very interesting area. But the price of living here is very expensive, which is a big put-off to a lot of people. And but the fact that, you know, that people can't exactly afford to settle down here means that people are constantly changing, which, you know, it can be a good thing. But you know, we don't want to sort of lose people, like, you know, we don't want to lose these interesting people and their businesses just because of the fact that it's too expensive to live here. And I just hope that things don't change that much.